I don't feel any less crazy than I did before. I don't know what goes on in my own head. It's hard to focus my own thoughts when you actually speak out loud. There's times when I have to think that I'm insane because what I think, it doesn't line up with at least what other people tell me how their mind works or how they think or what they decide. What I decide or what I think or how my mind goes back and forth and rationalizes and cross references things. Apparently, other people's minds don't do that. At least what they tell me. You know? So at some point, you have to come to the rational conclusion that you might be irrational if your mind works in a way that other people's do not. But again, who's to say what's right or wrong, right? You know? I think that nobody, not not nobody. I think that the vast majority of the population is under this, I'm just going to say spell for lack of a better term. They're under this this assumption, they've come to the conclusion that where was I going to go with this? So people have sort of unspokenly come to the conclusion to one, not, I'm not even going to say, well, people have come to the conclusion to just not be honest in general. And that is, I'm going to say that that's the case in most aspects of most people's lives, including myself, because so let me put it like this. This is me thinking aloud, basically. This is honest thought, or it's trying to be. Again, I get nervous and it's hard to speak when I'm actually thinking aloud or saying the things that, you know, make me go insane or make other people think you're insane. But this is an example of me attempting to be honest, to think aloud, to say the things that make sense to me, and again, where my mind goes. And I don't think the vast majority of people, again, myself included, do that on a day-to-day basis. I don't think people say what they actually think. And again, sometimes that's a good thing, right? You know, if let's say you think somebody's fat and you just want to call them fat for no reason, well, that's seems like a bad thing to do, right? Seems immoral. But what if you call somebody fat for the sake of comedy? You know, but at any rate, the point is, yes, people say things or don't say things based on, you know, what's moral or immoral. But when we what happens is we arrive at this point where when less and less people say what they actually think based on, you know, other people's opinions, or like me, they just think that what they think is crazy sometimes, or they just, even if they just think it's morally wrong to say a certain thing, let's say, when people aren't completely honest, it causes this well, it allows for the things to happen that have happened to happen. I need to change this camera a little bit if I can. I keep putting my face down. I just noticed that. But it allows for things to happen. It allows for dishonest things to happen, I guess. That's where I'm going with that. So when everybody is not honest all the time, you don't get an honest idea of what anybody else thinks. You don't know what anybody else is actually saying because you don't understand the context of what's going on in their mind, right? So I'll use the simple example of, oh, how's your day going today? Good. So, obviously that's just a simple interaction, as pleasant as can be. Um, but like, let's say that person's day isn't going good. Now, obviously, they don't want to just start ranting about that, right? But I guess that's just a small example, and that's a very, unimportant, very trivial example of people not being honest, I guess. But let me put it like this: if everybody just keeps saying everything is good when everything is not good, where does that lead? You know? And obviously, that's just one person saying, oh, my day is fine, I'm good, when their day might not be fine or good. But I think the country, let's say in general, has gotten to this point where it turns out everything's not fine and good, and people are starting to realize that. So, what we need to do now is, I guess, now that everybody realizes that things aren't fine and good, is for everybody to be honest. Well, why aren't things fine and good? And those are all different for different people. Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking too much. My whole idea was to just go for an hour and talk and think and rant. We at 55 minutes roughly. I'd say that's pretty good. I don't know. I could go on like this all day. I'm probably going to in the future. Probably start doing this all the time. I don't feel any less crazy than I did before. I don't feel I don't feel motivated to want to change things anymore, I guess. But obviously I must feel somewhat motivated to an extent, because here I am streaming, gonna try and, make some cuts. Well, not cuts, but take some short clips out and make some videos or TikToks. So I guess I must care to an extent about what people think, or if, you know, I care to be somewhat moral, I guess. There must be some sort of reason behind why I do this, or why I think the way I think, or, you know. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know what goes on in my own head. It's hard to focus my own thoughts when you actually speak out loud, right? Because everybody, I always say everybody. I hate to group like that. I hate grouping in general. People like me, other people that are somewhat similar to me, I assume have a similar problem of their mind constantly working, and then getting tidbits of what your mind is saying, and then trying to formulate, you know, logical sentences out of that, or logical arguments. And then as you're doing that, more thoughts and arguments come up.